Anybody else who would like to announce their name?
Hare Krishna Puja Mataji, my Danat Pranam to you and all the devotees on the call. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devi Dasi from Orlando, Florida.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Today we are so fortunate to have His Grace Anuttam Das Prabhuji and Ram Tulsi Devi Mataji from Maryland. And today Prabhuji is going to enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, verse 15 onwards. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. And whenever you are ready, please take over the call.
Okay, well, I am here, so that's the important thing. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Guranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. So today we're reading Srimad Bhagvatam, and we're very fortunate to be reading Canto 7, the prayers or the instructions by Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada talked a lot about Prahlad Maharaj. It was one of his favorite subjects, the whole subject of this section about Lord Nrsingadev and Prahlad's teachings, because they cut right to the chase and get right into the heart of devotional service and understanding the truth of our existence. So we'll read this verse, which is, which one we got? Chapter 7, Canto 7, Chapter 6, Text 14. Kutumba Poshaya Vidyan Nijayor Na Bhuyate Ratam Vidhatam Paramataha Sarvatra Tapa Traya Dukhi Tatma Nirvidyate Naswa Kutumba Ramaha. So and you can all hear me, correct? I hope so.
Prabhuji.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
You never know about electronics. So the word for words on this is Kutumba, of family members, Poshaya, for the maintenance, Vidyat, declining, Nija Ayur, his lifetime, Na, not, Bhuyate, understands, Ratam, interest or purpose of life, Vidhatam, spoiled, Paramataha, being mad in material conditions. Sarvatra, everywhere. Tapatraya, by the threefold miseries, miserable conditions, and in parentheses, Adhyatmik, Adhibhutik, Adhidaivik. Duhita, being distressed, Atma, himself. Nirvidyate, becomes remorseful. Na, not. Swakatumba Ramaha, enjoying simply by maintaining the members of the family. Translation: one who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. He who also fails to understand that the purpose of human life, a life sustainable for realization of the absolute truth, is being imperceivably spoiled. However, he is very cleverly attending to seeing that not a single farthing is lost by mismanagement. Thus, although an attached person in material existence always suffers from the threefold miseries, he does not develop a distaste for the way of material existence. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. A foolish man does not understand the values of human life, nor does he understand how he is wasting valuable life simply for the maintenance of his family members. He is experienced in calculating the loss of pound, shilling, but he is so foolish that he does not know how much money he is losing, even material consideration.
Excuse me, Prabhuji, somebody has to be muted.
Somebody has to be what?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, muted. Please go ahead, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry for this.
I heard something there. That's fine. Chanakya Pandit gives the example that a moment of life cannot be purchased in exchange for millions of dollars. A foolish person, however, wastes such a valuable life without knowing how much he is losing, even according to monetary calculations. Although a materialistic person is expert in calculating cost and doing business, he does not realize that he is misusing his costly life for want of knowledge. Even though such a materialistic person is always suffering threefold miseries, he is not intelligent enough to cease his materialistic way of life. Thus ends Srila Prabhupada's purport. Mayam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Navasesha Sunnivari Paschachari Shatarane. Like I said, we're so fortunate to be reading Prahlad Maharaj's instructions. Yesterday, I gave a class on the fourth canto of the Prachetas. And if you study Prabhupada's lectures, you see that there are subjects in the Bhagvatam that Prabhupada never talks about. He never talked about the Prachetas, except in the Bhagvatam itself, but in public lectures, he did not discuss them. But Prahlad Maharaj, in public lectures, he discusses many, many times one of his most favorite subjects in the whole Lord Nrsimhadev pastime. Because these instructions cut right to the chase as to our condition. This is a wake-up call to all of us without, shall we say, watering it down. So here we see and Prahlad is of course, we know Prahlad, he's the son of Hiranyakashipu. He's a young boy. He's only 5 years old. He was born into the family of Hiranyakashipu, but when he was in the womb, he heard the instructions from Narada Muni. I remember Prabhupada was discussing that once. He said the Hiranyakashipu's wife, Narada was giving instructions to his wife, the Hiranyakashipu's wife, and Prahlad was in the womb. And he said that his wife was not focused. She was not picking up any of the information. We never read in the Bhagavatam the instructions of Hiranyakashipu's wife because she did not understand it. Prabhupada, his exact words, he said, her mind was not there. In other words, the battle was going on. She was taken away by the Devatas. Narada comes to her. So she's in great anxiety and can't focus on the instructions of Narada. But Prahlad's in the womb and he's hearing all these instructions. And that's how he becomes fully learned in the essence of the Vedic information. So to dissect these instructions of this particular verse, Kutumba, of the family members, Poshaya, for maintenance, Vidyat, declining, Nija Ayur, declining his lifetime. So in other words, as it says here, one who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. So this is the first point. Now, I remember Prabhupada, there's a reporter asking, and it was somewhat of a misunderstanding amongst the general population and the media that they thought that the Krishna conscious movement was against family life because, especially in the 70s, we had a lot of brahmacharis, somewhat, shall we say, somewhat fanatical brahmacharis. And I was one of them also at one point, who, propagated not to get married and not to avoid association of women. So this reporter asked Prabhupada, he said, my understanding is that you are against the family. Is this correct, Srila Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, against the family? Who is saying that? He said, here's a married man, here is a married man. Amongst his disciples he was sitting with, I have so many disciples who are married and also many disciples who are not married. So we're not against family life. This is part of Varna Ashram. This is part of Vedic culture. This is a brahmachari. He's the student life up to the recommended up to the age of about 25. In this time of life, he's studying. He's hopefully studying the Vedas. Of course, nowadays there's no brahmacharis. There's students, unmarried students, but they're not brahmacharis. Brahmachari means he's not thinking of women. He's not interested in women. He's not chasing women. He's not engaged in any way to be involved with women. That's a brahmachari. When I joined this movement, I joined when I was 17. I was still in high school. And I happily embraced the concept of brahmachari. I had no interest in, women. It was not, many people, they make it their business or their mission in life to chase women. That is for men, obviously, not women. Although some women chase women also. This is Kali Yuga. Men also chase men. This is the perversion of the modern times. So the brahmachari, but then if Prabhupada says, if you cannot continue in your celibate life, then you can get married. And then we have Grihastha ashram, and then he's a responsible person. He maintains the wife, he maintains the children, he teaches the children about Krishna consciousness, he instructs his wife about Krishna consciousness, and he also supports the family financially and spiritually. So then later on, Prabhupada recommends, or the Vedic society, the Vanaprastha concept, where one retires from active business. He doesn't leave his wife. Some people misunderstand Vanaprasthas. I see some of our members in our movement, they say they're Vanaprastha. They're Vanaprastha because basically it was a polite way of saying, I'm getting a divorce. That is not Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means that you stay with your wife, you go to holy places, you gradually become detached. This is Vanaprastha life. So how do we, we're not in India, we're not able to run to holy places unless you go to India. So what do we do in the Western world? We go to Krishna conscious festivals. One of Prabhupada's main ways to preach Krishna consciousness is Krishna conscious festivals, particularly Rath Yatra he introduced very early, Jagannatha Swami. And so we can go to Rath Yatras. There's lots of Rath Yatras around. You can go to New York Rath Yatra. You can go to the Baltimore Rath Yatra. Of course, I'm talking to people all over the world. So you have Rath Yatras in your countries. Every country has Rath Yatra. So you go to these Rath Yatras. You also go to the temple regularly. You volunteer at the temple. You assist in the puja at the temple if possible. You make garlands, there's so many services. Mandira Marjanado, one of our prayers, he's the spiritual master, is engaged in cleansing the temple, Mandira Marjanado. So we can go over and, sweep the floors, volunteer in some way, work in the gardens. Personally, I'm over at our local temple trying to get the lawns to look good and get rid of the weeds. So we all volunteer in some way to do some devotional service. And then there is the ultimate renunciation in the Varnashram system, which is sannyas. And not cut out for most of us. This is where the man cuts off his relationship with the family. He ultimately, if possible, he goes out and preaches. At least within the ISKCON society, there is a facility for sannyasis, people who want to be sannyasi, to go and travel to the different centers and also colleges, universities, wherever there's preaching. Just he's fully involved in preaching. So here Prahlad Maharaj says, one who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. So don't be too attached, but don't be unattached. That's the other side. And we've seen that with immature people who are coming to Krishna consciousness. They think, my family's a burden. They're not very Krishna conscious. They're not interested in hearing the Asadev. I'll neglect them, or I'll even leave them. And that is not the process. One must be a responsible family man. Even Prabhupada, if you look in the life of Srila Prabhupada, when he met his Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was a married man already. And Prabhupada said it a number of times. He said, I felt that if I was not married, I could have done more service. But because I was married and had responsibilities, I had to do my duty at that time. So, and he, of course, obviously got initiated, was involved, gave financial support and various supports for his spiritual masters organization, the Gaudiya Math. And then eventually, at some point, Prabhupada said, I've done my duty. Duty is an important concept. I've done my duty, took care of the family as best I could. And now it's time for me to focus fully. I want to write the Srimad Bhagvatam. Even as a householder, he worked on, writing and translating. He used to write for the newspaper of the Gaudiya Math, Sajjana Toshana, I think it was called. He was a writer. He liked to write. He liked to preach through his writing. So in this, and eventually Prabhupada took Vanaprastha. He lived in Vrindavan. And he took sannyas in 1959. And then he came to, spread the movement to all of us here in America in 1966. And we all know that story. Quite an amazing story. So don't be too attached, but don't be under-attached. Be responsible. This is Grihastha life. So the next sentence here, he says, he also fails to understand what the purpose of human life, a life suitable for realization of the absolute truth, is being imperceptibly spoiled. And this is, so two terms here, Grihastha, Grihamedi. Grihamedi is a person who's only interested in maintaining his family life, enjoying the senses, and having a good time as much as he can. He's not interested in understanding the purpose of human life. So this is the difference between the responsible householder and the, we see so many people get married. Everyone's getting married in the world eventually. But are they understanding the purpose of life? This is the important thing. Unfortunately, they're not. Therefore, there's a verse in the Bhagvatam which Prabhupada quotes all the time. This was in the first canto, first chapter, text 10. And in English it says, "O learned one, in the iron age of Kali, men almost always have short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed." And the line that Prabhupada quotes all the time is Manda Sumanda Mateo Mando Bhagya Upadritaha. So Manda means misguided. Let's see. Manda, let me get it. Manda is lazy. Sumanda Mataya, misguided. Manda Bhagya, unlucky. And Upadritaha, disturbed. So this sums up life in Kali Yuga, even though people make a big attempt. We see public media, we see movie stars. We think, oh, they have a boat, they have a big house, they make a lot of money, but they're disturbed. And how many divorces do we see amongst the, social media people? They cannot remain satisfied. So they're wasting their life. They do not understand the purpose of it. Then it says here, however, he is very cleverly attending to seeing that not a single farthing is lost by mismanagement. He's disturbed, he's wasting his time, but he's very careful counting his money, very carefully accumulating money, watching the stock market, investments, and however he can make money as best he can. So making money is not wrong, but just being a grihamedi, being a miser with one's income, that is wrong. And Prabhupada said, if you have money, you use it for spreading Krishna consciousness. You support publication of books, you support festivals, you support the temple. We see here in ISKCON, at least in the America East Coast area, Indian community is supporting with their donations the construction of new temples. Here in Maryland, we just opened the brand new temple at a great cost. In New Jersey, they're building a new temple. A lot of places, of course, India, they're building lots of temples. So if you have money, you use it for a good cause. Doesn't mean you give all your money away. You have to support your family. But if you have excess, you give donations, you get benefit for that. So that is the proper use of money. So then the line here is, thus, although an attached person in material existence always suffers from the threefold miseries, he does not develop a distaste for the way of material existence. So basically, he's a mudha, he's a foolish person. Namam diskritana mudha prapajante naradamam mayaya pritagyana asuram bhavam asritaha. We're foolish, we are always disturbed, mudha. Prabhupada, I remember Prabhupada saying, he gave a lecture once in Montreal, early days, 1968, and some Indian people had attended. And the man said to Prabhupada, he said, Swamiji, you use this word mudha. This is a very strong word. Maybe you can not use that word, use something else. Prabhupada said, this is the only word. This is the word that Krishna has used. So this is the only word. Some people don't like strong message. Where we are chopping on their illusion, mudhas, diskritana, namam diskritana mudha prapajante, naradamam, lowest of mankind, maya pritagyana, their knowledge is stolen by illusion. Asuram bhavam asrita. These are the qualities of the non-devotees, the asuras. So Prabhupada in the purport quotes Chanakya Pandit. For those of you who don't know, hopefully you know who Chanakya Pandit is. Prabhupada quotes him a lot. He was about 2,000 years ago. He was he gave direction to the kings to the king of India, how to be a moral person. So Prabhupada says he's a moral instructions. He never said he was a pure devotee. What he did say is that he was a perfect Brahmana and he gave good moral instructions. So one of his instructions in his Chanakya slokas, and Prabhupada asked that the Gurukula boys learn these Chanakya slokas as a good moral background. So Chanakya Pandit gives the example that a moment of life cannot be purchased in exchange for millions of dollars. This is, quite a practical point. Our lives are all finite. None of us are going to live forever. We study different cultures, and particularly Egyptian culture, and they're burying the king. They're making big elaborate arrangements for the funeral for the kings of Egypt, the pharaohs. They're putting the body into the mummies to preserve, and they buried the king with so much paraphernalia, all these gold and carvings and big effort. Their theory was that he would be taking this to enjoy in the next life. But many thousands of years later, we find the stuff is still there. They put it in museums, and the mummy is put on display, and such is the illusion of life. So utilize one's time. Don't waste one's time. That's what Chanakya is saying. Don't be a foolish sense gratifier, basically. Running after pounds, shillings, and pence, running after women, or for the men at least. It's interesting to note that in Vedic society, women are not going through the brahmachari grihastha. Well, they're going through grihastha, but they're not going through the student life like the brahmacharis. Brahmachari ashram traditionally is for young men. A woman, a young girl would be at home with her mother and learn household duties. This was the concept of the way society was. Prabhupada said that women do not take sannyas. He said some organizations, you see, they do this, but he said this is a concoction. There's no sannyas for women. Women, if the husband has moved on and taken sannyas or has died, she takes shelter of her grown-up children and lives with them. But now everyone is independent. Nobody knows these things. So this kind of concept is considered old-fashioned, but this is the recommendation in Vedic society. So although a materialistic person is expert in calculating the cost of doing business, he does not realize that he is misusing his costly life. His life is costly, meaning it's rare. If something is costly, means it's very dear. It's very rare. Oh, that costs so much. Oh, look at that fancy car. That's very expensive. Or that big house. We live here in Potomac area where the temple is. Big houses. Oh, that's very costly. So what is the most costly thing? Our lives. This human form of life that we actually have the ability. Prabhupada said that cats and dogs cannot understand this philosophy. We're not preaching to the cats and dogs, although the public is more or less like cats and dogs in their actions and their mentalities. But if you're a human being, you have the ability to understand God, and that's what life is all about. It's not about making a lot of money, because what happens? When you're old, the money's gone. Or even if the money's still there, you can't take it with you. A little example I had in my own life. My father, he lived to be 91, which was pretty old. So he was toward his end of his life, and he had a lot of money in this with a broker, stock investments. So I was visiting him once, and I said, "Dad, you have a lot of money. You have all this money in the and with the investments." He said, "Oh, we don't touch that. We never touch that." That is the foolish person, who's a miserly person. So within 6 months, he died, and all that money he gave to his second wife. He had two wives. My mother, his first wife, passed away, and at 76 years old, my mother was 74 at the time. At 76, my father decides I need to get remarried because I haven't fulfilled all my desires yet in enjoying this life. And I don't want to be alone, which is understandable, because they have no concept. Vedic concept, we understand. Being alone is not being alone, because we're always with Krishna. Krishna is within our heart. So we're never lonely. When we have the opportunity, when we finish our responsibilities of family life, then we can focus fully on meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always with us and waiting for us to turn to him. So all that money went to the new wife, and that's the way of money. If you don't take it with you, somebody else will take it eventually. So I had that, as an example. I saw that in my own family. So costly life. The life is the most valuable thing. And so many people waste it smoking, drinking, drugs. Prabhupada said that's Prabhupada at the very beginning, America is full of all of this stuff. Well, not only America, Australia is full of it. Europe's full of it. The whole world is full of it. Even India's getting full of it. Full of intoxication and people wasting their time. In the next purport, which we'll get to in a minute, he mentions that people are wasting their time with cinema, entertainment, dances, concerts. You look at these people, they're all worshiping these idols of their heroes of sports, football and different sports, baseball. They all know the names of the players. The players get paid lots of money. These are wonderful people. We all know, we don't know, but most people know the famous singers, the entertainers. They come and they go. This is life. In India, they all know all the movie stars. They're all famous. So who is the most famous? God is the most famous. Krishna's pastimes. That's why we should absorb ourselves in reading the Bhagvatam, understanding this philosophy, understanding why Krishna came to this world to enlighten us. Reading and studying Bhagavad Gita. In this way, spending our time properly and doing our duty as a family person. That's, don't be irresponsible. And like I said, in the beginning of the movement, a lot of young married men were artificially detached because they would read these verses about detachment and even this line here: foolish man does not understand the values of human life, nor does he understand how he is wasting his valuable life simply for the maintenance of his family members. So you must be a little matured to understand this. Prabhupada was matured. If you're not mature, you'll think, oh, my wife is a burden. My family is a burden. They cost a lot of money. I have to work so hard. I'd rather just sit and chant all day. This is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about being responsible, but also being responsible with the costly life, with the life we have, to utilize it, not just for working, not just for making money, but utilize it for understanding Krishna. This is the purpose. So I think we end at 8:15. So I'm going to give time for questions because questions are always interesting. So we'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Madanat Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, and also to Mataji, if she's around.
Take it. She was originally going to be here, but we have 2 grandchildren that stay with us to go to school in our area, and she has to get them up and running in the morning and get the breakfast and those things. She's here, but she's here, but she's not here.
Okay, Madanat Pranam, both of you, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj. So wonderful to hear from you, Prabhuji. Very nice class, and you gave an example of how about your father, that so we face the same situation where our parents and relatives are so attached to the money, and like as if they will take it with them because they are not aware of the shastras and things like that. So and I don't know, especially when I hear, because you are like a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and then your father situation was like this. So I'm thinking that it gives us more assurance that way. If it is an ordinary person, not a Prabhupada disciple, then we would have thought, but then it gives us assurance in the sense that, I mean, it should not happen. All our parents should be very spiritually uplifted, but then it's like, okay, this is a material world, and we don't have to worry about the fact that our parents or relatives are materialistic, because that's it's happening in everyone's, we see it in everyone's family like that. And I think our responsibility and our love towards them is to, I would say, make them read Prabhupada's book and chant, so that way they can connect to the philosophy, or how. Because sometimes, when we approach people who are in a materialistic mind, they say we know everything. We know everything. Oh, this is okay. Oh, who's, like, all these statements come, and that is so discouraging to us, because then we feel that these are so much statements in ignorance. So how do we encourage relatives and family and people like that? Or we just leave them because they're going to be like this, and they will eventually die like this, and not bother. So that's one question coming to me, like a practical question. Yeah.
Practical question, yes. And we can see that, if one does not want to surrender to God and understand God, there's really nothing you can do. Obviously, they're your family members. You're going to, be with them on social occasions and birthdays, and you see them now and then. And if they live nearby, you see them often. Of course, we're talking two different cultures. My parents obviously were not Indian culture, so they're brought up Christian culture. So I'm not they could appreciate that I was a good person, that I wasn't taking intoxication, I wasn't I was dedicated to my family. I was dedicated to not having one wife and having my children, and being responsible in the way of raising my children and raising our family. And they can appreciate that we're good people. Of course, they don't know the higher understandings. So we give them prasadam sometimes. We try to encourage them to come. My father came to many temples. He visited me, my mother and my father. They around the world. They would visit us wherever I was. I was living in Mauritius when in my early marriage, and my first child was born there. They came all the way to Mauritius. They wanted to see me. They wanted to see the new baby. So they made an effort. They enjoyed my company. They appreciated my wife was a sober person, shall we say, not a responsible, sober person who cooked very well also. Prabhupada said women should have three natures: faithfulness, chastity, and cooking. So this is what women should be, and dedicated to the family. So we try our best to work with our family. If they're Indians, if we're in an Indian family, which most of you are on the they at least understand. They may not be actively interested in Krishna consciousness, but they'd have some kind of religious upbringing. To some extent, I'm sure, at least aware of it. So you try your best. You give them, be nice to them. Don't reject them, and eventually they'll appreciate you, and see how good and steady a person you are. Just if they appreciate you. Prabhupada said, they asked Prabhupada, even his Western disciples, Prabhupada said, yes, if all of my disciples, Western disciples, because that's all he had in the beginning, their parents will also go back to Godhead because of the activities of their children. So even if they don't take it this life, we can feel confident that because we're devotees and we've surrendered, and they have brought us into this world, they are getting benefit also. So that would be a good answer.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That's so positive. Like two things I caught on from your answer is, one is like set a good example, no forcing in Krishna consciousness,
right.
And then
don't call them a mudha.
And also, your answer reminded me of another thought, when somebody's practicing Krishna consciousness, I don't know, is it 21 generation benefit? I don't know. Some number is there.
Oh yeah, of generations backwards, and yeah, there's some number. Some say 10. So, yeah, there's some. They get benefit whether they're getting liberated, because we understand that they've gone on to the, our previous ancestors have died, and they are somewhere in the creation living under some condition. We don't know what happened to them. I remember my mother. We all have memories of what our parents say. A few key points that they make up over my life with my mother. She said we were talking about death and ancestors, and she said, "Yes, nobody ever came back." I always remember. At least she realized that this is a pretty finite, situation. Nobody ever came back to tell us what's going on, but we know what's going on. Part of the foolishness of modern world is that they don't believe in next life. They don't believe in karma. They don't believe that there's a good or a bad, or there's a responsibility, that they're going to get a reaction for what they're doing, positive or negatively. Nor do they, if they don't believe in next life, it's just the complete free for all. Live as you like, do what you want to do, and this is the problem in the modern world. Basically, this is the life of the Asura: eat, drink, and be merry. That's the saying they have. But so we know that our family members get benefit from us, and even though we can't talk with them directly about Krishna, I spent a lot of time with my father later on, but he wasn't interested in talking about Krishna, but he could appreciate that I was a good family man, and that was about as far as it could go. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for explaining like that. It's really helpful to us to hear and understand and correct ourselves, because always like we ourselves have to be happy and contented. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Once we are happy, contented, and then when we are seeing people are accepting or not, it doesn't matter. Okay, just tell oneself, you be a good example, you do good things, because action will speak louder than words. So that's the take. Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful class.
We see that with my parents are Maya. Everything's Maya, everything's all. We were like that in the beginning. This is because and when Prabhupada wrote one letter to one parent, because the parent was complaining to Prabhupada that my children they're not interested in talking to me anymore, and I don't see my grandchildren, and they think I'm bad, bad to be around. The parent wrote Prabhupada like that, and he said, yes, in the beginning stages, sometimes we can be a little fanatical, but it takes a little time to be mature and to be able to associate with non-devotees without being threatened by them. Sometimes we're threatened because we're weak in our Krishna consciousness. We're threatened that we're going to fall into Maya, and that's why we become fanatical. I can't go. They're going to be watching television, talking nonsense. I can't go over there. But if you're a little strong in Krishna consciousness, you could go anywhere, and nothing's going to affect you. So.
Yes, Prabhuji, this last point you said, that is a fear which I also carry. And a lot of the family members say that she doesn't call, she doesn't, is not connected to us. Because I feel that when I connect with them or go to their place, or, their interests are everything other than Krishna consciousness.
Right.
So that, like seeing that scenario in them, it's so fearsome. And then on this side, we hear classes from devotees that, like Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days. And he at least got 7 days. We don't know tomorrow we'll wake up or not. So at least let us do a sadhana carefully. But then we get that impression and, we don't know what to do. But we just continue our sadhana and, that fear is definitely there, because we don't want to catch up with them and become like them.
Right. We don't extensively, mix with them, but as much as possible, and keeping a pleasant relationship. we don't want them to think we've become, this is why in the 1975, 76, there was a big anti-cult movement going on in America and other parts of the world too. And they were called deprogramming. They would kidnap not only from ISKCON, but from other groups also, the other cults, as we would say. There was the Moonies. It was a group, Reverend Moon, and they were, parents were upset that my child had joined this group, and they felt that we were brainwashed. This was their claim. They brainwashed my child. Now my child doesn't talk to me. He doesn't want to have anything to do with me. He just wants to do his religion. And it was an anti-cult movement. And it actually came to the point of having a court case in the state of New York. And Prabhupada did this, there was a lot of talk. When you read the conversations Prabhupada was discussing, he was saying, we're not brainwashing, we're brain giving. He said their brains are filled with cow dung and we need to wash their brains. He was saying like this, as a counteraction to their comments. But that's because a lot of cults, you've all heard the term cults, and people act fanatically and sometimes irrationally and sometimes dangerously. There have been dangerous organizations where they do crazy things. So this was going on, and in 1976 they finally had the court case, or it was actually maybe 77. And the very first day, the judge said that we see that this Krishna conscious movement is an authorized movement with roots going back thousands of years in India. It's a bona fide religion, and the whole thing was over in one day. It was something that was building up for months and months, and lawyers and all of these things. And Prabhupada was kept abreast of it. So we have to, we have to keep a balanced life. We have our life of devotion, just like when we go to work. We're not running down the halls of the office chanting and walking through chanting our beads. And, you have to put yourself in, kind of what we have on our phone, airplane mode. We put ourselves in Krishna mode. We don't act, you know what I'm saying? We have to be sober and understand the situations we are in. If we are in business, we are in offices. We don't, you can talk to people about Krishna if there's an opportunity, if they ask you some questions, but we're not fanatics. So, it's a question of maturity. Takes some time. Younger people have more of a tendency to get involved in.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And also one line you mentioned about that we have to understand that Krishna consciousness is not a cult. It is a Vedic way of living. It's not a cult, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a tradition. We all know it's based on Bhagavad Gita. It is not a made-up religion. These other groups, they make up things. They make up their own rules. It's a charismatic. There's a charismatic leader at the top, some man. We all knew, you heard of Rajneesh, Bhagawan, they call himself Bhagawan Raj. He was a cult, and he had his own philosophy, and he had a lot of followers, though. He had a big center in Pune and in Oregon and other places, a lot of followers. But it wasn't Krishna consciousness. It was quasi-Indian, philosophy, because he was Indian. And he had the big beard, but he was a cult leader. So,
thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Osho Rajneesh Prabhuji, right? Rajneesh. Osho.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for this nectarian class and this wonderful question answer session. After a long time we heard you and we were missing you a lot.
And I'm lucky I'm here, because he wanted me to do this class a month ago, and we're talking about the life and the temporariness, and we don't stay here forever. Actually, a month ago, I had a heart attack, and
Yeah.
go to the hospital, and they put a stent in me, and luckily I'm near a hospital. I was at home, and if I was not available to go to the hospital, I wouldn't be here today. So the valuable life is, the costly life, as Prabhupada says, our life is the most valuable. So we have to take care of it, to use this body for serving Krishna. And that's another fanatical thing that some devotees do. They neglect their health, they neglect their body. They think the body is Maya. They think so many things are Maya. Well, they may be Maya, but you can use it for Krishna. Sure, the body is Maya. The whole world is Maya. The whole world is the illusory energy of the Lord. But how to use these things for Krishna? Prabhupada said we don't neglect anything. We use modern things to preach Krishna consciousness. We fly in the airplane. We use the car. We use the tape recorder. We're not neglecting anything. And and our children and our family, we try to teach them. First guru are the parents, to teach your children Krishna consciousness. So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Geeta. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. I really appreciate it. I wanted to ask you, Prabhuji, why did Srila Prabhupada say that women are not supposed to join as sannyasis,
Well, this is Vedic culture. Nowhere in traditional, in the scriptures do we read women taking sannyas or renouncing or become, he said women can preach. Prabhupada encouraged, obviously in our Krishna conscious movement, both Prabhupada even encouraged, he said both our men and women are preaching equally. But the role of women in society and the role of a man in society are different. Women by nature are not ascetics. It's not their nature. Their nature is to be with the family and be with the children, and in old age to live and take shelter of their grown-up sons, to be protected. The idea is, Prabhupada always said that the woman should be protected. He's protected, and not only Prabhupada, this is the Vedic idea. He gets the idea from the Vedas, Varna Ashram, that in the youth, both, and anybody, children are always protected by the parents, but the girl particularly, and the father takes responsibility, the father and the mother, to get the daughter married. It doesn't say in the Vedas that they have to get the son married, but it says that they have to get the daughter married, because she should not be independent. She should not be a single woman living a modern happy life, just doing everything. That is not the Vedic system. So she gets married, and then she has a husband, and the husband, takes responsibility to take care of her. Of course, in modern age, women also work. This was not traditional, but this is developed in the last 100 years or so. And economically, it's somewhat required in order to support a family in the modern age. It's expensive to live and to have a house and all of these things. And the idea is that she doesn't, when vanaprastha, this is for the husband and wife together, to work together, to be retired, not working anymore, go to holy places, go to Krishna conscious festivals. But only the man takes sannyas. The woman doesn't take sannyas. But a woman can be a preacher. We do have women preachers. And Prabhupada always encouraged. We had Yamuna Devi Dasi. She would lead kirtans in India. Traditionally, Prabhupada has women doing everything, and they're doing the pujari work, at least in the West. So there's just different roles for men and women. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna, I think Padmini Radha had a question. She raised her hand, so Mataji, please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga. Thank you so much for this wonderful class and for all the daily reminders. I just have one quick question. May not be directly related to whatever was discussed today, but when you were talking about money and wealth, we focus so much on building wealth and generating wealth. So my question is pertaining to that, Prabhuji. So I always struggle to balance being materially ambitious versus trying to develop virtues that are needed to be more sincere with my spiritual practices. So how do you balance that?
Well, we all need wealth, unless we're willing to live very, very meagerly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, having a lot of wealth as much. Of course, we have to understand the philosophy. Actually, it's Prahlad Maharaj talks about this, and Prabhupada talks about it a lot, is that we have a predestined situation in life. If we're going to be wealthy, we will be wealthy. And if you want to be wealthy and you're not destined to it, you're destined for poverty or mediocre financial existence. That's also going to happen. There are a lot of people. Everyone wants to be wealthy, but there's a lot of poor people in the world. So the Vedic concept is that by our karma, by our activities, by our past activities, we are either, we're going to be what we're going to be. That doesn't mean you sit around and wait for it to happen. Oh, it's my karma to be wealthy. I'm just going to sit in my house and not get an education and not get a job. One must make the efforts. I'm not going to, invest in things and all of that. I personally went out and started my own business after being in the temple I was joined in 71 and I got married in 1980. And I still lived in the temple with my children until about 84, 85. At that point, I decided I need to make my own money and support my family. So I became successful in what I did, but it takes time to make money. So don't waste too much time making money. Money doesn't come easily, but if something is 24 hours a day, like I remember talking with our congregational members at the temple, all Indian people, and everyone is up on the stock market. They all know every day what is the stock market doing. If we could study Bhagavad Gita every day as seriously as they were studying the stock market, we would be pure devotees. I was surprised to understand that they were so absorbed in stock market and what's going on with their investments. So a balanced life, it's there. I have a daughter. She's 42. She's married to Gauravani, the singer. They have 3 children. 2 are in college, and the other one's in high school. She was working for a number of years. Now she wants to try to work full time with her husband and develop their preaching programs and his kirtan programs. But it's a balance. My wife, she worked as a school teacher for 20 years. She went to work every day. It was an honorable job. It wasn't too taxing, and now she's retired. Now she gets a pension and Social Security. So when you're old, you get money for nothing, at least in America. So
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for the awesome class. Just can't thank you enough. Always good to hear Srila Prabhupada's stories, and just wanted to quickly mention that I think the second temple that he built in Delhi was right behind my house. So I saw him. I was like 4 or 5 years old. I'm 68 born, so I think this was 72, 73, and we were very fascinated. My grandfather's from Mathura. Didn't allow us much to go because they were like, no, these people are not Indians. You cannot go. But we used to sneak in. We were very fascinated by whites wearing saris and it was I literally had seen the movement, and it was so beautiful. And we were four brothers sisters just right behind that lane is our house in Delhi, right behind. So we could go from a back door and sneak into the temple on Feroz Gandhi Road. So just so beautiful to hear it. And one thing you rightly said, that we go to I go to work, I see all kinds of people, we go to happy hour. You just have to do it because you're working there. But we can't discard parents or relatives. Just process of including everyone is much better. And thank you so much. So just wanted to comment on that. It was a beautiful class. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned happy hour. Now that I think, I always had my own business, so I did not have a boss. I did not have an office.
Right.
For myself and mostly by myself. My wife being a public school teacher, there were other teachers, and on Friday they would go out, and she would sometimes go with them, but they would always know that my wife's name is Rama Tulsi. They always know Rama Tulsi, she doesn't drink, and she's, they all knew that she was a devotee of Krishna, and that she didn't do these drinking things and eating meat things. So they appreciated her for that. And she still has friends in the school community that she keeps up with, on a social level. So it's not that we, we're always hoping that they will become some interested in Krishna consciousness, but most people are not. And that's why Prabhupada said, I was on the stage with Prabhupada in Hyderabad in 1975. We went down there for a week in Hyderabad, 250 devotees. It was during the festival time. And he gave public lectures at night, two nights in a row. And we were all sitting on the stage with Prabhupada. And one man asked, Prabhupada, can you make miracles? Can you do the Sai Baba tricks and make some ash, make some coins, make a miracle? What's the miracle? Show us the miracle, Prabhupada. Swamiji, they would say Swamiji. And Prabhupada said, this is my miracle. He said, he turned to the right, he turned to the left. He said, all these American Western boys and girls, a few years ago, they never heard of Krishna. And now they are so absorbed in Krishna and they have given up all sinful activities. He said, this is a miracle. So I said, this is my miracle. So, we all hope, and it's a miracle for anyone to join Krishna consciousness. People in Indian background, they have a little background, it's a little easier, but, they have to break out of that happy Hindu state and come to the state of Sarvadharmam Parityajya, surrendering to Krishna. And this is what Prabhupada wants, not just to be a pious Hindu, but to be a surrendered devotee who chants the names of God and reads Bhagavad Gita. And for Indians, that they're already halfway there because it's their culture. But for Western people, there's zero culture, zero background. They're doing all nonsense. So to make a devotee out of a Western person is a miracle. So that's Prabhupada's miracle. Hare Krishna.
So profound, Prabhuji. So profound. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Because like you said, in the 70s and 80s, my grandmother would take us to some Swami. He would take out ash and things like that. You're so right. And this is a miracle. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Actually, Prabhupada, I read recently in the conversation books, in February 1977 at the festival, Prabhupada was talking with his devotees in the room, and he said, I feel that Krishna has sent everyone who has joined this movement, Krishna has sent them to take birth around the world in the Western countries just to help me spread this movement. So Prabhupada said that, his devotees were sent by Krishna. Our last birth, people ask me why I joined. I don't know why I joined. I just saw the devotees. I said, that's what I want to do. This looks really interesting. And it was like monks. And I said, I'd like to be a monk. Why did I do that? Everybody else is like, I want a girlfriend. I want to make money. But I said, I want to be a monk. And I was 17 years old. So why? Because Krishna wanted me to. So this is, this Daiviyesha Gunamaya. The world is working under the Daivi, under the control of God. So, some people become Krishna conscious, some people don't. Our parents maybe will, maybe they won't. But it's not up to us. Krishna's in their heart. Krishna enlightens them. We speak from outside, Krishna speaks from inside. So that's the answer on why someone becomes, why someone doesn't become. So.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Very nice to see you on the conference after a long time, maybe, but it was really wonderful discussion, and you highlighting everything which is practical based, day-to-day lifestyle and everything that gives us a really good knowledge and really make us to understand exactly how one has to lead the life in this material yoga or in this Kali Yuga. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. And I really don't have a question, but I'm very happy to see you on the conference. And every Sunday, like whenever I come there, you are already there. So thank you so much for your association. We would like to have more and more of your classes, and also my obeisances to Ram Tulsi Mataji also. And I would like we would like to pray for your good health, Prabhuji, and by saying Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So I would request everyone to say Hare Krishna Mahamantra right now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram,
Hare.
Hare.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Our lives are, Mare Krishna Rake Ke, Rake Krishna Mare Ke. Prabhupada would say that. I remember Gopal Krishna Maharaj would also say that a lot. If Krishna wants us to live, we live. If Krishna wants us to die, we die. This is, it's up to him. Yeah. So, it was Krishna's choice that I was near a hospital and went to the hospital. Some people, anyway, I woke up in the morning and I started getting cold sweats, and I have a little, machine to check the pressure, the blood pressure, and that was all off the charts. And I said, something's wrong here. I wasn't sure what was going on because I didn't have chest pains. I just had, this things were off. And we went to the hospital, 10 minutes away, fortunately. My wife drove me. She said, should I call the ambulance? I said, just drive. I'll get there faster. And yeah, so I'm here today to talk with you.
Yeah, it is all Krishna's mercy, Prabhuji. Like when we heard you are in the hospital, then like we are trying to make out our time to come and see you, but Krishna was so merciful that then later after a couple of days I heard like you are back home. So it was really nice to hear that, Prabhuji. Yeah, and then we met in temple.
Well, luckily, putting in, a blockage and fixing it with a stent is fairly, not so intrusive, so you get out pretty quickly. But, if you have open heart surgery, that's, it takes a month to get better on that. So, well, I think our time is up, unless someone has a burning question they want to ask. I'll let the monitors, you're running the show, so if
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Dandat Pranam, August Prabhupada. was such a nice class, dwelling upon Narad Muni's instruction on Varnashrama Dharma. It is the basis of most of the people, sadhakas, because sadhakas are in the three modes of material nature. So it's very important to understand. So yes, you said correctly that at the early stage, our Bhaktilata bij, little sapling, is very weak. So you need to guard and become a little fanatic. Yes, it is very true. And as you mature, you become more strong. And so those rather the predators cannot affect us much. Yes, very true. Yeah, so very important to get a holistic picture as much as possible. And yes, Prabhupada is that miracle that he turned Western world youth who couldn't be turned around by even their society. I mean, the police force, whatever force doesn't change, but even the pastors and the churches, they couldn't change. But the message of Krishna by Prabhupada, they changed them. That changed them. So yes, very important. But another side also, I wanted to just put that it is. I mean, comparative study between regular Indian Hindu people and Western people, and like I have seen that it is sometimes it is difficult to turn Indian people towards Krishna consciousness because they have advanced to some extent on the path of Mayavad, and those those philosophies are deeply entrenched in their mind, and if they're aged, like Prabhupada says, it's difficult to train. I mean, it's very difficult to train an old dog.
Yeah.
So they have turned to old dogs and very difficult. Whereas the Western people who have been little dejected by what is happening in their society, they're easy to turn around. But I have little with all the blessings, whatever little I have come across. I mean, I have seen that. Yeah. So like I have this what do you call that anecdote. It's like I mean similarly kind of a thing that the music teacher was teaching was charging some money for different students. So one student one boy came with no knowledge. So to his mother, the music teacher said, "Okay, I'll charge him some $10." $10. Another mother came with his son. Okay, this he knows so many things. He knows tabla, he knows the midanga, he knows this, that, sitar, whatever. And to that music teacher, to that mother, the music teacher said, "I'll charge you $100." So this mother said, this new mother said, next mother, second mother said, "Why are you charging your charge $10 to that guy?" So he said, because he has to unlearn, because the second boy has to unlearn. So this is the problem with Mayavad, that Mayavad is influenced Indian Hindus. So they have to unlearn a lot of things, whereas the Christian audience, at least to some extent dejected, virakta, so they don't have to unlearn a lot. Already they have unlearned to the virakti stage. So they can only be receptive to if they see a good, I mean, if they perceive by the mercy, the happiness around Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Just
one thing I noticed when I go to India and when I was living in India, meet people. I know Krishna. Yes, I know Krishna. Yeah, you know Krishna, but you don't know Krishna. You know superficially. You have heard the wrong ideas. There was one when we were on the stage with Prabhupada in Hyderabad in '75. Another man came up and said, "Krishna is immoral. Krishna is dancing with other men's wives." So, this, he knew of Krishna, but he knew Krishna the wrong way. Prabhupada said, "You're immoral. You have taken Krishna's wife. All women belong to Krishna." That was the answer that Prabhupada gave. So, One must hear from the, the previous acharyas and the parampara, and not just, what people say on the street. Anyway, it's getting a little late now. Should we end?
Thank you, bro.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your time. And I know you are busy. Your mornings are very busy as you have a business. So, but thank you so much, Prabhuji, and please hear a session more and more.
Yeah, we could talk for hours, but we just have to talk for 1 hour each day. Not at once.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So,
Thank you so much. So let's pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Shri Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Hey,
Jai.
thank you all for sticking with us all this throughout.
Grace Anutama Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Subha Mataji joined first time. So let's welcome her by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Subha Mataji's Monica Mataji's sister. So yeah, thank you Monica Mataji for introducing her. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Subha Mataji is from Canada.
Mm.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much.
Hari Bol Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So
Hare Bol.
we'll end now, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay.